gotta be fucking kidding.
It's morbid time. It's morbid time. It's morbid time. It's morbid time.
Sure how I got here. Let's do the same.
Hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on.
I know that when you see Madame Web, you're gonna love it. In fact, I think you're gonna see it twice.
No! No.
I got bitches all on my dick and every day, sucking on my.
I knew it was. Yes! I knew it! I knew it!
What do you want?
You're gonna love it. In fact, I think you're gonna see it twice.
So you guys probably might be noticing the title of this video. I watched Madame Web, and all I gotta say is this is the absolute worst fucking superhero movie I've ever seen. And this is the absolute worst movie that Sony has ever put out. But most importantly, this is the absolute worst superhero movie of all time. Of all time. It's worse than Mobius. It's worse than The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I beg your pardon?
It's worse than The Flash.
I beg your pardon?
It's worse than Blue Beetle. It's worse than Shazam! Fury of the Gods. It's worse than anything that is any. Bro, I swear to God, there's nothing this fucking trash in the Spider-Verse, in the multiverse, in the. Bro. Like. Oh my God, bro. This movie was fucking garbage. This movie was garbage. What the? Oh my gosh. What? Why the fuck, bro? Why the fuck Sony made this? Like, who made this? Sony, of course. Who wanted to put this shit out? Sony, of course. Oh boy. I don't know what the fuck is Sony doing, bro, but they have no fucking idea what the fuck they're doing with their pathetic Spider-Man cinematic universe, with their Sony Spider-Man universe movies. Honestly, the only good movies that Sony has put out from this universe of theirs are the first Venom movie and Venom Let There Be Carnage. But I just simply don't understand why people dislike those movies. I think the first Venom movie and the second one are kind of were okay. They were great. They were not that great, but they were good. They were good. But Morbius and Madame Web those two movies were just fucking awful. Those movies were just awful. But this one tops it all off. This movie has over 13% audience score. Well, initially when this movie premiered, this movie opened with 23% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. But now it currently sits at 13% critic score. 13% critic score. So you know that this movie is way worse than Mobius. Hell, this movie makes Morbius look like a fucking masterpiece, but in reality it isn't. That movie's also shit as well. I mean, I watched the movie and this shit literally gave me a fucking headache to go through. Like, literally, the editing, the CGI, the freaking Madame Web visions. I don't know where the fuck those visions happen, because this movie feels like it's a fucking replay button in some moments. Honestly. Bro, the freaking visions that Cassandra Webb has in the movie trips me out. Trip me the fuck out. Because it felt like someone was replaying the exact same scene. Like it was a freaking replay button. But, bruh. Oh my gosh, bro. And bro, the editing of this movie is just so bad. It literally gave me a fucking headache to go through this movie. And let me just vent the main problem that I have with this movie. This movie is atrociously fast paced. Like, seriously. This movie is just so damn boring. It's not entertaining. It's cringy, unfunny dialogue all over the place. And don't even get me started with the spider suits. I think Sony literally gave us the biggest fucking scam that I've ever seen. The biggest thumbnail clickbait scam of all. The theater clickbait scam, as I would like to call it. So no wonder this movie did not get a second trailer. No wonder this movie only had one trailer. This movie was trash. Because, you know, when they showed the Spider-Woman in the suits in the trailer, and then a photo which was this one right here. I mean, the suits look cool, but the way that they executed these suits was just fucking terrible and just pathetic. They literally just threw this in and threw it out the window faster than you can blink. Like, people initially thought that this was the premise, that at the end of the movie they were gonna suit up and fight the evil Spider-Man, which is Ezekiel Sims. But no, that's not the case here. So I'm gonna reveal a spoiler for Madame Web here. I don't care if you haven't watched the movie or not. This movie doesn't deserve to get, this movie deserves to get spoiled. I'm sorry, but this movie deserves to get spoiled. So, in the 18-minute mark of Madame Web, in the 18-minute mark of the movie, Ezekiel Sims sleeps with a freaking CIA woman, I don't know, and then all of a sudden, he has a vision, a future vision. It's a flash forward vision where the three spider women, which are Sydney and the other two, stole Ezekiel's spider and they kicked his ass. And not only that, this montage that we see the three spider women in their suits only lasts for 50 fucking seconds. 50 fucking seconds of screen time is what we all see the spider women in their suits. Yep, that's all it. 50 seconds is all we see the spider women in their suits. That's all the screen time they have. And afterwards, nothing. Nothing. And the fact that these suits only appear in future visions, they first appeared in Ezekiel's vision where they kick Ezekiel's ass and they steal his spider from him. And the other one is where, again, I don't give a shit if I spoil this movie. This movie doesn't deserve, this movie deserves to get spoiled. This movie doesn't deserve to get spoiler saved. But at the end of the movie, Cassandra gets his face hit by a firework, which makes her completely blind, and he falls into the water, and now she cannot walk, she's in a wheelchair, and she's blind. And not only that, she also has a future vision that shows her and the three girls in their spider suits for 5 fucking seconds at the end. Only 5 seconds. They're all posing, and they're just standing there, and Madame Web is just floating above them with this web thing. I don't know how to call it. Web hologram ghost thing. I don't know. And that's where the movie ends. So we basically have 1 minute and 5 seconds with the Spider-Woman on screen time in total. I mean, we do get a few glimpses of the Spider-Woman beating bad guys and fighting crime with their powers, but that's a future vision. That's not actually happening. So the Spider-Women appear in their suits in future visions. They do not actually appear in the movie, because we see is the girls in their normal casual 2003 style clothes. And it just pissed me off that Sony wanted us, and we all fell for it. The fact that Sony wanted us to see this movie because they put the Spider-Women suits in the trailer, thinking that, giving us the premise that we were going to see the girls getting their powers and fight the evil Spider-Man almost at the end. That does not happen because the director of this movie quoted, and I quote this tweet, that she said that it would have been so greedy to do 4 origin stories. Are you fucking kidding me? You mean to tell me that you mean to tell me that it would have been fucking greedy to make 4 origin stories on the 3 Spider-Women, but also Cassandra Webb? And by 4 origin stories, I'm pretty sure you mean not only Cassandra Webb's origin, but also the origin of the other Spider-Women as well. You think that would have been greedy? I think if you would have given them all 4 origin stories, I'm pretty sure this movie would have turned out a bit better than what we actually got. Because I actually read on a community post on Twitter, or I don't know, maybe a community post on YouTube, that this movie went through development hell. Like, this movie had reshoots and the script was rewritten, so I'm not sure, but something tells me that the first version of this movie was going to be so entirely different than what we actually had. And the fact that they brought back the writers of Mobius to write this script of the movie, of course this movie would be fucking screwed the moment they rehire the Mobius writers. Because those guys don't know how to fucking write a good script. The only good script that they wrote is Power Rangers. That's the only script that they wrote. Simply just like that. And, I mean, that's it. Like, Sony has no fucking idea, and I actually feel bad for the actresses, especially Dakota Johnson and Sydney Sweeney, that they just, I mean, Sydney is trying her best to take this, like, role of this character in the movie seriously, but it just doesn't work. I'm sorry, but not even Sydney Sweeney's good looks couldn't save this movie. I'm sorry. Sydney Sweeney couldn't even carry this movie. Because this movie is just a giant cringe-ass superhero movie. Like, the movie takes place in 2003, the year I was born, 2003. So, of course, we're going to get flooded with a lot of, nostalgia from that era, like Pepsi cans, and clothing and stuff, and music from that time. But don't even get me started on the villain of this movie, because the movie actually, let me tell you the reason and the motives of this movie. So, the beginning of the movie starts off with Cassandra Webb's mother in the Amazon forest, taking photos and trying to find the spider that might help, in healing factors or stuff. And then Ezekiel seems as like her escort, and once she finds the spider, Ezekiel takes the spider from her and kills her while she's pregnant with Cassandra. Then, out of nowhere, these freaking spider people called Las Arañas, no really, that's how they call them, Las Arañas, or the spiders in English. They come out of nowhere, they swing from the trees and stuff, they jump like they're fucking spider monkeys, and they take Casey's mother to some kind of like sacred cave where they bathe her in like holy spider water or some shit, and one of the spiders actually bites her, and that she gives birth to Cassandra Webb. And then we jump to her being a paramedic in 2003. I mean, yeah. Oh, and not to mention, is back with Ezekiel when he has also has the powers of the spider as well. He only has 1/4 of the Spider-Man powers. Like, he can just climb on walls. He has super strength, and I guess he has a bit of super speed or something. But he doesn't have no spider sense, and he doesn't have no webs. Like, I know the web shooters are actually crafted by Peter Parker, because that was like a little detail because he was smart. But imagine if Ezekiel actually had organic web like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. I mean, I mean, don't get me wrong. The spider design, Ezekiel Sims' spider suit is actually looks cool. Like, honestly, the only salvageable parts of this movie is seeing that spider knockoff costume, that Spider-Man knockoff costume on screen. Like, it looks cool. Honestly, the costume looks cool. I like the shape of the lenses. They kind of remind me of the lenses from the first Amazing Spider-Man 1 suit, which make it look intimidating and, almost like a darker tone. And here, it's... Hell, this suit almost reminds me of a freaking suit that I found on Pinterest, which is this photo right here. Can you believe that? But yeah, so the motive of this villain is that like I already mentioned, the motive of this villain is that he gets a future vision because he has the same powers of the spider, like Madame Web, that can see future visions. He has a vision where he gets his ass kicked by the 3 Spider Women, which only appear 50 fucking seconds in the movie, and they steal his spider from him because the spider that he took is actually in a little, like, I don't know, one of those glass things. I don't know how they call them. So he has a vision where the 3 Spider Women steal his spider, and they kick his ass, and he falls to his doom while the 3 Spider Girls just watch him fall. And that's where he says, I need to find these girls because in the future they're gonna get powers and they're gonna kill me. And so he hires this freaking, I don't know, girl. I don't know who the fuck is this girl. Where the fuck she come from? Cause she just appears out of nowhere, and she's just her guy. She's her girl in the chair, and he has like surveillance cameras all over New York to find the girls. But apparently, the girl that helps Ezekiel actually finds the 3 girls and identifies them. But it turns out that those girls are actually teenagers, and like I mentioned, in the future they will grow older and have spider powers. Well, powers, just simply powers, and they will kill him and take his spider. So technically, Ezekiel is going after 3 innocent teenagers just because he saw a vision, which sounds cliche and dumb, honestly. Oh, and not to mention, we get some Peter Parker references in this movie. Like, there's Ben Parker, who's a friend of Casey. And there's some cringy dialogue that says, wouldn't you prefer to be shot in Queens? And then there's like a scene where Casey goes to like her, like Ben's sister's baby shower, and it's Mary Parker. And then she says, Richard would kill that. Yeah, apparently Richard and Mary are mentioned in this movie. Richard and Mary Parker, Peter Parker's parents, are in this movie. But, of course, that has nothing to do with Spider-Man. It's a Madame Web movie. But, of course, they have to bring the lazy Spider-Man, writing and references to this. So, of course, at the end of the movie, Mary gives birth to Peter Parker, but it's not named Peter, but we know that it's Peter Parker. It's baby Peter Parker. And of course, this sets up almost something that we will never see because this movie flopped so hard. But this movie wants you to believe that it's a prequel to like setting up like the origin of this Sony universe's Spider-Man. But what's the point of doing a Spider-Man movie universe if you can't even show your own Spider-Man? I actually found out that either Tom or Andrew Spider-Man was going to be in Madame Web, but they got cut. It's just so pathetically executed. This movie's just so fucking pathetic. Jesus Christ. Like, oh my gosh. Bro, and one of the cringiest scenes in the movie was that, because Casey takes the girls on a taxi cab she steals and dumps them into the forest and tries to like find stuff and tries to learn about her mom's notes about her researching spiders. And speaking of that infamous line that we see in the trailer is not even in the movie. I saw him in the Amazon with my mother when she was researching spiders. That line is not in the movie at all. So what was even the point of putting that in the trailer if it's not in the movie? Jesus Christ. But yeah. So of course the girls decided to just run amok, and they disobey Cassandra Webb. They go out in the woods, and then they find a diner where they go there, and then they meet these three like down horny ass high schooler boys. They ran and meet some boys, and they start like dancing for them. Like they get up the table like a freaking strip club, like a hooker club, and start dancing for the boys while fucking Britney Spears' Toxic plays in the background. Jesus Christ. I literally cringed out at that, and seeing them all dance to Toxic, it just cringed me out. Of course, that was all just another vision of Madame Web, so obviously she arrives when the evil Spider-Man arrives. She arrives, knocks him out with the car, and then they take the girls out, and yeah, they go into an hotel where they show her, where they tell about, that their parents, they're not here, etc., But yeah, this movie's just so damn lame, bro. Oh, and don't even get me started that this movie actually changed the fucking quote, the famous quote. This movie changed the quote of "with great power comes great responsibility." They changed that into this movie. They changed it into something so stupid that I just wish I could.
And when you take on the responsibility, great power will come.
Are you kidding me?
They literally changed the "great power comes great responsibility" quote into something like, when there's great power, when there's responsibility, great power will come, or something like that. That's what one of the people of the Spider Tribe that talks to Casey when she goes back to that same cave where she was born with, discovers and lets go of his powers. He wakens her potential of her powers, and that's where we get that line, which honestly made me just pissed off that I even shouted, "Man, what the fuck? They changed the fucking Spider-Man quote!" And some asswipe shushed me. I mean, I'm sorry, but that just literally upsetted me, because how dare they change one of the most famous, iconic Spider-Man quotes of all time and turn it into something different?
I mean, seriously, why would they do that? I mean, I know that in The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and in Captain America Civil War, they changed the quote into something slightly different, but at least in those two movies, that actually kind of worked, because it was like the same thing, and it made sense, whereas here, it was just dumb.
Do good things for other people. You had a moral obligation to do those things. That's what's at stake here. Not choice, responsibility.
Look, when you can do the things that I can, but you don't, and then the bad things happen, they happen because of you.
You're basically saying with great responsibility comes great power, and you're just ruining it. Oh my gosh, bro. But I'm telling you, this movie is one of the absolute worst superhero films of all time. I swear to God. Oh wait, I haven't even mentioned how the fucking villain of this movie dies. Ezekiel dies by getting slammed by a giant fucking Pepsi sign. A giant fucking Pepsi sign. Yep, the main big baddie of this movie gets killed by a giant product placement and not by 3 powered Spider Girls.
Oh, and I forgot to mention that Cassandra Webb tells Ezekiel that it wasn't the girls that he was after. It was actually her all along. So why the fuck did this asshole went after the girls in the first fucking place then? If he knew that Cassandra was in his way all along. So it wasn't the girls, now it was simply all of a sudden it wasn't the girls that he was after, it was actually her all along. Oh my gosh. This movie literally makes no fucking sense at all, bruh.
I mean, honestly, what was even the point of showing that future vision that how he was gonna die if that's now what it happens? I mean, if this movie was rewritten by me, honestly, I would actually, if Madame Web would, like, awaken, like, his potential powers, Like, if she would awaken her powers, then the girls would accompany her into the hideout of Ezekiel. They would grab the spider, and then they would all get bitten by it. And then they would get their powers, made their suits, and then face him off and kill him off just like he visioned. But no, that's not how it happens.
Well, that sort of happens, but it's all in a future vision that Cassandra has near the end of the movie, where she gets the spider and all the girls get their powers, and that's how they get their suits, etc. But yeah, it doesn't actually happen in actuality.
He gets killed by a giant Pepsi can, and the freaking zooms and shaky cameras just, oh my god, it's atrocious. Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, that's how the freaking villain dies. And there's one thing that I also noticed is that at the end of the movie, there's a similar song at the end of the movie. It turns out that song sounds very similar to the Insomniac Spider-Man theme. They literally copied and reused the Insomniac PS4 Spider-Man theme in this movie. I mean, I'm not gonna play the song here because I don't want to get copyrighted. But if you search that song and compare it to the PS4 Spider-Man theme, you'll see what I mean of these two sounding very similar. I mean, Sony just literally copied the theme and score of Spider-Man PS4 just to show how so fucking lazy Sony it is. Oh my gosh. And of course, like I mentioned earlier in this video, Cassandra gets blind by a firework hit in her face, and then he falls to the water, and she cannot walk. She's now in a wheelchair. She's now blind. She's now wearing glasses. And of course, she gets the future vision where she and all the girls have their suits on with their spider powers. And it was all a future vision. And that's where the movie ends. I swear to God, this is one of the absolute worst superhero films of all time. What the hell were they even thinking of doing this, bro? I'm sorry, but I'm just fucking glad that this movie flopped. I'm sure this movie only made $25 million domestically in the box office. And here's a little story. I actually went to see this movie with my niece last Saturday or Sunday, and I think it was Saturday, and the thing is, almost near the end of the movie, we were actually told to be evacuated because an earthquake was going on. And I was like, halla fucking luja. And I was like, bro, honestly, if it weren't for that earthquake evacuation in the theater, I would have seriously ended in a fucking explosion. I would end it on a freaking low note, just growing so hard and signing so hard. Oh my gosh, man. But yeah, like I mentioned, yeah, I'm glad that that earthquake happened and saved me for seeing the ending of this movie, because I would have literally cringed and really frustrated, because seeing the spider suits again for just 5 fucking seconds is just bruh. Oh my gosh. But yeah, this movie has got to be the worst movie Sony has ever put out. Like, this was literally the worst advertising of a movie. Like, we got to see the spider suits, and we got to see some posters of the suits, and the standalone posters, and that was all for nothing, because the suits only appear on screen for 50 seconds. Well, 55 seconds if you count the 5 seconds of the last minutes of the movie. Oh my gosh. But this movie's just the worst thing Sony has ever put out, bro. And now the fact that Sony is now desperate, seeing how Madame Web performed at the box office, Sony is literally desperate, and now they want to ruin Spider-Man 4. They now want to turn it into another multiversal movie when No Way Home was big. Oh my gosh. Yeah, man. Oh my, yeah, but this was my long-ass rant review of Madame Web. And I gotta tell you, this movie is worse than Mobius, and this is the worst thing Sony has ever put out. This movie is just so bad that I just wish it shouldn't existed or should have been released. Because just like Batgirl was shelved by Warner Brothers for a tax write-off, I kind of wish the same thing would have happened to this movie. I wish this movie should have never been made or released in the first place, because this movie's just so bad. But of course, Sony is desperate and they just want to rush and make a freaking shitty-ass superhero movie just to make money. But yeah. So, if you want to watch Madame Web, I suggest that you don't. It's so bad. Like, it's just so bad. Like, it's so fucking bad you wouldn't even stand. I actually watched 2 or 3 people actually walk out of the theater while I was watching this. Some people actually walked out of this movie while I was watching this, and I was like, good gosh. Oh, they couldn't stand it, but Lord gave me strength. Yeah, that's what happened, but yeah. So this was my rant review of Madame Web, one of the worst superhero films of 2024, and in the last, like, 5-6 years. I suggest you don't. Would I recommend watching Madame Web? Absolutely not. But if you just want to get a laugh or get a freaking bulge and aneurysms in your brain with the editing and BS story of this, well, it's your choice. But honestly, I would never watch this movie ever again. I'm glad I didn't watch the ending of this movie, because I actually saw the ending on a pirated website. And I was like, oh my fucking gosh, this is how it ends? Yeah, I'm glad that earthquake evacuation saved my ass from watching the ending. Bro, hey, if you ask me, I would watch Godzilla vs. Kong and Kung Fu Panda 4 over this shit, bro. Honestly. But yeah, this movie's just so bad. Sony just has no idea what they're doing, and they really need to just give the Spider-Man rights back to Marvel. I don't know, but they're literally putting out money just to keep the Spider-Man rights. They're putting out these shitty-ass movies. Venom 3 is coming out. Kraven the Hunter is coming up. Oh, man. I'm sure Kraven the Hunter and Venom 3 will do as poorly as this movie, or I don't know, but yeah. Sony's just desperate at this point. So, yeah. Thank you all so much for watching my rant movie review of Madame Web. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to leave a comment and a like in this video. And if you agree with me, leave a like, leave a comment on your opinion on this movie. And be sure to subscribe to the channel with notifications on, so you don't miss any more future videos. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Take care.
What do you want?
You're gonna love it. In fact, I think you're gonna see it twice.